Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lethal Sales. Thank you all for being here tonight. Our topic is success. How do you define it? How do you measure it? What does success mean to you? And I think we're going to let Peter go first.
Well, thank you, Rhonda. I really
Well,
appreciate everyone joining us tonight. This topic is a very unique topic because it has so many different permutations on how to measure it.
Yeah.
Do you measure it in units? Do you measure it in income? Do you measure it in accomplishment? Or do you measure it in what people think of you? How, and it really, and I'm going to give a brief little story. I accomplished a lot in this business, and I was a leader in financial success amongst my peers and everything in the business, and basically grabbed a great amount of material things. So much my and I was always in a comparison to my brother and my father and their accomplishments in life. And my father passed away. I'm going to say now it's probably going on, let's going on 8 years. And when my father passed away, I was the one who actually had to write the eulogy for the funeral. And when I wrote the eulogy, I realized I really hadn't accomplished much as a man. Even though that I had a cottage and I had a boat and I had a sports car and I had furniture and big screens and collections and all kinds of stuff, I hadn't accomplished anything. I didn't have that ability that people picked up the phone to call me for advice, that that people looked to what I said to to understand who I was as a person, to help them, to mentor them, to get them in the direction in life that they needed to get to. I didn't have that. I had the material things. And it changed my life, dimensionally changed my life, writing that piece of work. And to do that, I realized the ultimate success is not what how people measure up to you, is how you are thought of as a person, as a character, as an individual in life. So I changed my life. And a lot of you know exactly who I am on this call. You know, I've been in this business I returned to this business almost 2 years ago. And in that 2 years, I've mentored, I have given, I've done amazing things for people throughout this whole time, and I've not monetized one single thing. Not one single thing, but I'm the first person on the call at 6 a.m. and the last person on the call at 2 a.m. Because that to me is success in life. And that's what we should all venture out to do. And my wife said something great to me. Said, it's not, the giving is in the receiving. Sorry, the receiving is in the giving. And we have it confused with the gift is in the receiving. And it's not. So I look to all of you out there, and defining that success is not a monetary thing. And if you actually build upon what I'm doing and what I'm engaging in, and you do that with your life, you will find the success, and that monetary success will come with that benefit. And that's what my dad taught me. So I'll leave that to my good friend Larry to continue on that conversation.
Okay.
So thank you for listening.
Well, I'm going to be a tiny bit more concise than Peter. I've about, I guess it was about 2-3 weeks ago, Rhonda and I made a trip up to Connecticut, which meant Rhonda had to endure my driving. Just think of Mario Andretti after he drank about 9 Red Bulls. And I jumped out of the car. She got to meet my friend and videographer, and we shot 3 videos with no script. And Rhonda was happy, and I'm going to do the same thing tomorrow. Now, I guess If you were smarter than me, you'd want to sculpt a speech. You'd want to get 19 layers of makeup. But I like the idea that we drove up on a wing and a prayer. We took our shot. We did our best, and we had some fun. So, to me, success. I'm going to quote, if you don't mind, from my favorite poem, "If" by Rudyard Kipling. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And what is more, you'll be a man, my son. I don't know anybody that knows me for more than 30 seconds that doesn't think I'm crazy. Okay, acknowledged crazy. But I defy you to find anybody that ever said, I didn't give my best, I didn't try hard. I never in my life have shrugged my shoulders and said, yeah, it is what it is, or, close enough. So I think if you can do your best, if you can honestly say, not to impress your boss or anybody else, I did my best, I gave it my best shot. If that's not what success, tell me what is, because if you're going by other people's measures, nothing's ever perfect. I know people that don't like the Beatles. So to me, success is giving your best effort. And I think everybody on this show, since there is nobody that's 17, good or bad, we see a lot of the problems we're having as maybe elder statesmen or slightly older is there isn't the same emphasis on giving your best as what we had when we were growing up. So that's it. To me, success is you did your best, you took your best shot.
Well, on that note, and I agree with you 100% there, Larry. And knowing that our good friend Tony is always on a time constraint, and I want to pass it off to him first, and then we'll go from there. But I agree 100% with you.
Yeah, well, thank you for allowing me to speak. Yeah, you're right. I'm on a time constraint, but to bring a little levity to it, and I'm not going to wax philosophical, but I like money, lots and lots of money, and they say money can't buy happiness, but it definitely can buy a nice yacht to pull up alongside happiness. But with that said, along the line with what Larry said, just don't phone it in. You'll hear me say many, many times, get up early, go to bed late, work hard in between, no problems. Now, that doesn't mean those three things that doesn't mean if you do those three things, you're not going to have problems, but problems are not problems if money can solve them. And number two, the only people with no problems on this planet are the dead ones. So I choose life with problems, and I'm going to trust in him and follow his lead. And that's got me covered.
Exactly. No, that is so true. And we'd all be lying if we didn't say that we enjoyed the benefits and that money brings. Because
hey,
money
wait
brings...
a minute. Let's forget about money. Everybody on this show has a couple bucks. How about if we just take 1 second to note that our buddy Fred is on the call and is on the mend, and everybody on the show is very happy to see him. Fred, how you feeling, my buddy?
I'm doing good today. Got out of the house over my buddy's house. Him and his wife's going to California for some niece graduation or something. I don't know. And dog watching. Had a couple dogs. I've done it before. And so I'll be over here till Sunday.
Right on, man.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's cool. Peace and quiet. Man. Oh, Wendy's not in here, is she?
No. And if she is,
No.
I'm sure she wouldn't mind you saying that your idea of success is peace and quiet and separation from your better half. Thank God Wendy isn't on the call. Hi, Wendy.
Cookies and milk.
Wendy just joined us, Fred.
Yeah,
what was that?
She didn't hear a thing you said.
Okay. No.
If
okay.
that dog is if one of those dogs, Fred, is a Doberman Pinscher and he's mad, you're still going to have better luck when you get home to Wendy after this.
I ain't kidding, really. Now the good dogs, one stays. They're afraid of me. They don't come out. One stays in bedroom all the time, and the other one, Allie, she'll come out and they have feeding time. But still, they're good. They're good dogs. Cool. They love. They don't have kids. They love the dogs.
Fred, it's so good to see you. Just for a little variance, we got Kaylee Felio on. I'd love to hear what she thinks is success because she's an unbelievable parts person. She's an unbelievable person. She's a great mom, and she's always willing to bare her soul. So, Kaylee, to you, what is success? If you don't mind sharing.
I feel like this always happens to me. I joined and I didn't get to hear anyone else.
Let me condense for you. Peter discussed the Oedipal situation where he wanted to marry his mother and kill his father. I quoted from Rudyard Kipling, and Fred is no longer allowed back in the house with Wendy. Continue, Kaylee.
Check.
Shed some light on that, Kaylee.
I have so many questions. Okay, but now going back to what was the question that you asked me to answer?
Success. How do you're a mom,
what is
business
success?
person, everybody likes you and respects you. What do you consider success? All kidding aside, Peter said it was more than what you see on paper. Our buddy Tony said, man, I just want to make some money. I know I'm going to a better place when I'm not here. And I said, to me, success is doing your best. But what do you define as success for you?
I think success is time, having time and freedom, because that is something that we all want, but we work really hard and don't do enough of it. And as a mom too, success is getting a shower in for the day. That's really successful. So I did take one today. My hair looks pretty clean and I did it today. So yeah, but success I think is just really having time and being with family and friends.
My Kaylee, my all-time hero Ben Franklin said, if you cherish life, then be careful with your time because that is what life is made of. Hey, we got David Sparks on. David, if you don't mind sharing with us, what do you consider personally to be success?
Well, for me, I'm a goal.
Couldn't hear you. You're on mute.
Try that again, David.
Yeah, I got to walk away from Mike's tablet. So success for me is I'm a process and a goal person. So I set goals for myself as, everything from as basic as, what time I'm going to wake up in the morning to, what my business is going to look like. And as you guys can all see, I have a little 3-month-old that keeps me a little crazy and running all over the place. So setting goals is not something that I do arbitrarily, but success for me is getting each win and building upon the previous one. And yes, money comes with that. And yes, I think time comes with it too, because as I'm achieving goal to goal to goal, I'm able to, free up some of my more time and build upon itself. So I think that's the formula that works for me. Is that when I don't set goals for myself or I miss a goal, I am absolutely not the person that I want to be. So that would be the best way I could describe it.
What's the baby's name?
So this is baby David. His middle name is Joseph. So mom calls him Joseph. She refuses to have anybody call him Junior. So he is little Joseph, and he is 3 months old yesterday.
Wow.
My gosh.
Congratulations. He's gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's so big too.
Yeah, and he's cute. He knows it, and he plays the game.
Yeah.
You're gonna blink and he's gonna be 18.
Yeah. The truth.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
He is adorable.
How about that was we're so glad you shared that with us. Before we go to Jason Reed, Doug, I see you unmuted, my buddy. You're a pretty successful guy and a good guy. What do you consider success through your eyes?
It's funny. For about 26 years, I was partners in an agency, and I thought like I was pretty successful. I was making good money. I paid a couple weddings, paid off colleges, did the whole thing. And I realized the last couple of years how unhappy I was. And I also realized at that point that the phrase that I started to grasp was, I work to live. I don't live to work. And it changed my perspective on things dramatically. And as I looked back, I realized the happiest I was when I was leading youth in a youth group. And the happiest I am is when I see smiles on the face of my grandchildren, or my daughters and my son-in-laws are happy to see me, or my wife is just pleased. So I gauge success by the effect I have on others, on the how I can affect their lives. I want to make sure everybody around me is happy. And if everybody around me is happy, I feel as if it's been a successful day. And I've really kind of taken money out of the equation. I mean, sure, we all love money, but I realize it's not the driving factor for me. It's everything but the money.
Doug, I love
Doug,
that. Can I throw two things in
hold on
here?
1 second, Larry.
Yeah.
1 second, Larry. Doug and I had a conversation about this yesterday, and Doug brought up a great point that I'd love to have Doug share before we move to the next speaker.
Go ahead, Doug.
Wow, which point was that? I don't know.
What your first economics professor taught you in college?
Oh, yes. When I was in college, I learned that there are two types of income. There's economic income and there's psychic income. And all the money in the world won't buy psychic income. And psychic income really is what drives us, what makes you happy. And that's really the better income to really address than simply the economic income.
So,
Cool.
in other words, it's all about the recognition rather than the reward.
Hey, Doug, can I get a hold of Vanna White and buy a Val? Because I think I'm working more on psycho than psychic, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
I want to throw two other curveballs in for success. Another one of my heroes, Winston Churchill, defined success as going from one failure to another without losing enthusiasm. And I had a very interesting dichotomy in the last 24 hours. I went to see my favorite band, the Rolling Stones, and I could not believe how well Keith Richards played. I see the Stones all the time. It's the best I've heard him play in 25 years. And when you consider they were the essence of youth and rebellion, and he'll be 81 in December, it's amazing. But I think a more strident example that we can all learn from, battling through adversity. I lost my all-time favorite athlete, Jerry West. For anybody that doesn't know, Jerry West was Greek tragedy in basketball shorts. He was arguably the best basketball player of the day. I liked him better and thought he was more complete than Oscar Robertson. And every damn year he ran into Bill Russell and the Celtics and got beat. But somehow he still came back and is considered arguably the best executive, the most successful complete career. And this is a guy that was despondent after every time he lost. So if you can fight through every loss and move forward, and if you can play rock and roll when you're 80 and make it sound as fresh as Chuck Berry pulling up Maybelline at 55, I think that would be a pretty cool design for success. Jason Reed, you're a pretty cool guy. How do you define success, my buddy?
One, I think success is ever evolving. I think there is ever one standard of success that I try to attain, to reach out to. You know, when I was young and I first started this business, of course, I wanted to have, a fancy car. I wanted to have this, this Audi, this BMW and whatnot. That's what I determined success by. As I've grown older in the business and as a man, I've evolved my definition of success for myself. It was small goals of getting the sales manager job, of getting a GSM job, or being a finance manager, hitting that unit number, hitting that gross goal. And then further it evolved. And, this business can tend to have demons within.
Oh, we lost him.
It said he had low bandwidth. Whenever you're
the
done,
demons got him.
Whenever you're done,
Oh, he's
just
back.
jump back up. We got April Simmons
I
on.
think I'm back.
There you are. You're back, Jason.
I think I'm back.
Out of the ether. Go
There you
ahead.
go. Sorry. Yes. No, but success, there could be demons in this business with a lot of different people. And I've battled my own, and I could say success was not pulling a trigger 3 years ago. Success was putting down the bottle and being sober for the last 2.5 years. Success is showing the two things that are in the back seat of this car that I'm in right now, how to tackle this world. And then again, hearing my dad say how proud he is of me for the life that I've given my wife and my children, and how he taught me and what he raised, how I am as a man today, that is success. And
That's a beautiful thing.
No measure of success is truly measured until you're gone and off of this world for forever. But right now, I measure success in those small little avenues. Is my wife happy? Are my kids happy? And do they have a better life than I did growing up? And am I educating them? Am I educating my team and my staff to do things better and to lead them on to a better path? That's where I'm at.
Perfect. Now, before we jump to April, I want to make 2 comments on that. The first is, you can always count on the continued support of Russell Hill, who beat every demon you can beat and turned out to be as likable and successful as you can humanly be. And I do have to give you a proviso. You might want to avoid tuning in because I've been known to drive people to drink. So just be careful with that as we move forward.
No,
April,
you're good.
how do you define success?
Oh, I wasn't even muted this whole time. I define success, I think, differently day to day. I think success to me is, did I show up today? Did I do the best I could? I define success on the day to day. At the end of the day, if I go home, say, hey, I gave it my all today, tomorrow's another day, then today was successful. Did I love my family? Did I treat people with respect? Success, I think, comes day to day because the targets move. There's no like, hey, if I make $1 million or if I do this or I do that. To me, that's not necessarily success, because once I hit that $1 million, do I just say, well, I give up, I'm successful? No, we move the needle. So to me, success is doing the very best that I can on every single day.
I love it. I love it. Wendy, we're sorry about Fred and the dogs, but tell us how you define success.
That's a loaded one.
Yeah.
The reason she's muted is she's cursing me and Fred out as we speak. Go ahead, Wendy.
So you guys, I'm so happy that I got to listen to the rest of you first, because as usual, me and many of my friends kind of finish each other's sentences, and that's why we make such beautiful music together. And what's in my heart after listening to all you guys is what you said, but I wake up in the morning like I do today and every day, and I don't think about work. I don't think about anything. I wake up with an attitude of gratitude and joy in my heart. And I just get out of bed and start putting one foot in front of the other and whatever. And I don't wake up like I did once upon a time thinking, oh God, what day of the week is? Oh shit, I got to go to work. Sorry, Rhonda, I got to go to work today. And it was a job where I was, working under a rooftop, and I had a GM I didn't always agree with for many, many years, or it was with my whatever it was, and I wasn't happy about what I was facing for the day. So I wake up joyful, and then I figure it out. At the end of the night, when I'm about ready to go chill and do whatever and end the day, when I honestly feel in my heart and I'm content, that's the word. Contentment is success to me, because if I'm content at the end of the day that I did whatever was humanly possible to make a difference in somebody's life, no matter how small the piece or how large the piece, that's enough for me today. I've had money, I've not had money. I know that that doesn't make happiness. No way, no how. Contentment, I think, is part of freedom. Contentment and joy, waking up with an attitude of gratitude and joy in your heart is success to me.
Now, keep in mind, after that wonderful thing, I just got a text from Fred. She fed the Dobermans raw meat and she hid his crutches. So don't come across as a poly purebred. Jeff Scherer was with his son, Derek, who I love, and they were buying a car, and it looks like he's joined us. Are you still in the showroom, Jeff? Hey, there's Derek too.
There's a plan.
He might not be able to talk because he's in. If you feel like jumping in, jump in, Jeff. You know we love to hear from you. It's always a treat when we can get Derek to pop in. Let's just move to our left. Mike, we're going to close with you, my brother, because you're always succinct. Robby, pleasure to see you. How do you define success, my good and great friend? For anybody who doesn't know, Robby is a terrific fixed ops recruiter and just an all-around good guy.
So it's two parts. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay. So it's two parts. So technicians, I had a technician call me recently. He started with me 4 years ago, came out of Firestone, didn't have any BMW brand experience. I pushed him. He pushed himself, but there were times when I had to really push him, and I pushed my techs to grow. And he called me in about a week and a half ago, and he said, "Hey, I just want to tell you that I'm buying my first home." And when he started with me, he lived was renting a room from somebody who moved here from Minnesota with nothing. And he said, "I want to thank you." And he's in tears. But what it is like watching my people grow. That was the biggest thing, the biggest reward. And the second part of it is my kids. I have 8 kids, and they're all grown. They all graduated college. The last one's going to college in August. Thank the Lord. She's a little bit of wild one, but she's going to college. And watching them finally missing all the dinners, missing everything throughout the years, being in this industry for 35 years, missing that, and I'll be there for dinner in 30 minutes and I don't show up for 2 hours. And then to watch the kids interact with each other and care about them and watch them all grow as adults is the second part that just shows it's like a huge reward for me that everything was worth it. Everything that we did, everything I sacrificed. And those are the two big things, my people and my family, and watching them grow.
Is it fair to assume, everybody, that if Mrs. Robby has 8 kids, her idea of success was when Robby was on the road? I'm just saying.
Gina's a saint. She's a saint. I took time off about 10 years ago and I stayed home, and I was like, I used to tell her, go, "You have the easiest job. All you do is stay home all day. You take care of kids." I said, "You shuffle them here, shuffle them there. You have the easiest job." I said, "I can't believe you can't clean the house spotless," because I'm very picky. So during that time, I stayed home. I freaked out. And that was 10 years ago. And I thank her. She's a saint. I said, "I don't know how you do it. You're amazing." And to Kaylee's point, taking a shower, I didn't realize like the kids would be banging on the door to get in there. She's in there in the shower or wherever. And just that job's the hardest job in the world, is taking care of kids. And she did a fantastic job.
I love it. Hey, Jeff Scherer has unmuted, and he's gone through the ordeal of car purchase with his son. Jeff, how do you define success, my friend?
Can you hear me okay?
We hear you perfect, and you look pretty good too.
Thanks. I think, and I'm kind of glad I went last here, because I think most of what we're talking about are the intangibles, right? I mean, the knee-jerk answer to the question is, "Oh, I'm rich. I make a lot of money, through what I do." But almost to a person here, everything that was said, it's time, it's freedom, it's things that warm my heart, right? That's success to me. It's watching my kid buy his first brand new car.
Love it.
I mean, it's kind of smaller things. It's easy to say money, but at the end of the day, life is about a lot more than money.
Yep. Hey, Jeff, you're the most analytical guy I know. Did you happen to catch that medical journal that said men that wear purple shirts are more virile? I just wanted to mention.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because my wife looked at my shirt and she goes, "Wow." She goes, "If they made that in pink, that would really be cool for you."
Yeah.
So.
Hey, we got Don Graff on, and I didn't forget about my boys, Mike Larkin and Russell Hill, but Don's making a rare appearance. Don, how are you, sir?
I'm good.
And how do you define success?
I'm sorry I didn't wear pink or purple. I wore plaid today.
That's great. Me and you look virile, Jeff, and he looks like Yul Gibbons' cousin. It's all right. We'll send you out into the woods with a tent later, Don. No problem. Go ahead.
So how are
Where the
you?
hell are you? You're in. Looks like you're in the New York restaurant. Okay. Well, before they serve you, how do you define success, Don?
By having a big corned beef sandwich, that's success.
I rest my case. Nothing wrong with that. I would personally prefer the White House a steak sandwich, but that's just me.
Everybody has to have their own preference. It's really who you're eating with that determines what success is.
So who you eating with?
I've had meals with you on more than one occasion.
Robby, he's trying to buddy up to me. This is how your wife had 8 kids. Okay, I get it. No flowers, but you might start nibbling on my neck. It's getting too weird. Mike Larkin, how do you define success, my buddy? We'll come back to Graff. I love Don Graff.
Have any of them been to see you perform? And
you know what? They
Virginia?
haven't yet. My friend Don Graff made the pilgrimage with his family, and we had a fabulous time. By the way, for anybody that's
I am going to
interested,
start organizing trips to see Larry perform.
let's do it. By the way, I just this sounds crazy, April, but it's true. There was a song at the Cannes Film Festival, I swear to God, called Cash Storm, and 3 of my songs that I wrote are in this thing. We're getting involved more heavily with Hollywood. But I promise, no matter how famous and rich I get, I'll still come back and torture every one of you every chance I get. Don, I'll even do it to you off air. That's how much I care about you.
I've done it for a long time now. I was still sent you people to work with you.
It's true.
And
That's what I love. All right, Don, listen, everybody knows the key to Don's success is Don's Don. He's always upbeat. He's always positive. He's just a good guy. Mike Larkin, my buddy. And then we'll jump in with my man, Russell Hill. Tell us, how do you define success? And by the way, anybody that doesn't know where Mike's head's at, he'll help anybody with anything. I never heard him be anything but upbeat. So he probably has a really good understanding that success is more than superficial things. Michael?
Hey, I like that corned beef answer, though, Don.
Wait a minute. I quoted Rudyard Kipling, and you're talking about delis. Kaylee, where did I go
Better
wrong?
than the rear answer I gave the other day, isn't it?
Michael, how do you define success?
I define it a couple of ways, and I've learned through 2 of my heroes, my dad and my mom. If that sounds corny, but my dad always said, hey, life is short. All right. He looked back on his life before he passed way too early and said, don't live with no regrets. Don't go on your deathbed with no regrets. And I said, do you have any regrets? And he goes, really? No. And I looked back on his life, and that's why he's one of my heroes. He did so much. And that's why me and Joe Jackson are such close friends. He was a fireman for 30 years amongst my childhood. Everybody in the neighborhood, all my friends, would come over during, in our teenage years, they'd come over during Christmas, and Dad would pop on the old whiskey bottle on the stove and goes, who's gonna have a pop? So that was then, this is now. My other hero is my mother. She came over from Ireland, and she said, I said, what's your secret? I mean, you've been married for over 30 years now. She goes, communication. Me and your dad always used to communicate. So that's one of my core values. My personal ones from that experience are always improve 1% a day, at least. At the least. So you can look back at on a year and say, hey, I've improved 365%. That's not bad. My whole thing in life is love, loyalty, and friendship. So we love what we're able to do professionally, but I love life, right? Loyalty, hey, we're loyal to our clients and are loyal to our staff, but I'm a very loyal guy, and law of reciprocity is going to fit me with the people in my life who have a value of loyalty. And I always seek to establish lifelong friendships every single day. So everybody I meet on a Zoom throughout the day, and I have like 6 or 7 of them a day, it seems. But I always try to establish a lifelong friendship every time we talk. And if we don't do business, that's no problem. I met a friend. So that's my goals and how I defined success is keep on that road, and the money will come.
Are you ready for my transition? We're going to jump to Russell Hill because according to Mike Larkin, his definition of success is all you need is love. You got your Lennon lead in, Russell. Run with it, baby.
Well, he's
right on.
So it was really interesting listening to everybody's perspective or take on that. And Tony's not in here, but one of the things he said that caught me was he likes a lot of money. He didn't say love. That caught me. I could go into an hour-long dissertation just on that. Robby's perspective on 8 kids and him being home and watching what really goes on, and how he just did a 180 on that is a labor of love that taking care of 1 kid, 8 kids. Ooh, man, good for you, Robby. I wanted to, I honed in on something that Chef Scherer said, which is pretty cool. Talking about if at least with my understanding, my experience and strength about that is, and hope, if someone defines success as money, they don't have a clue. They don't have a freaking clue. It's way beyond that. So success to me is a progressive realization of a worthwhile dream, but it has to go from vapor to paper. You got to write, and it's progressive. So it's changing and moving. I honed in on something that April said. It's always evolving and changing. And at the end of the day, you do an inventory, and it's like you just never stop. I remember I didn't know this for half my life. I didn't know it. I met this guy, and I was clean and sober at this point in time for a few years, and I was struggling with some things, and I wanted to go to another level in my life, and I thought it was money, and I was chasing that, and it wasn't working. And I realized that that's just a byproduct of success. So, but it can mean it means everything to me. And I believe there's dream makers and dream takers, and the takers don't understand success because it involves, at the end of the day, it involves helping other people around you. Who was it that talked about giving versus receiving? Was it you, Peter? Somebody was talking about that. It's not about receiving. You get by giving. It's like a universal law, like gravity. Okay. And it's important to help people around you. I'm very goal driven, very ADHD. I know what I want, and I'm going after it, and it seems to change all the time. But I can tell you, one of the first, it's important to have long term, but it's also important to have really short term, so you can see yourself achieving. And so one of the things I do, and some of you probably already heard this, but I have this ritual, Wendy, attitude, gratitude, very important in the morning, not just to think it, but I have to say things out loud. I have to pray out loud. I can't do it internally in my head. Prayer is one of the most powerful tools in my arsenal today. But one of the first things I do is I make the bed. I make the bed. I don't just throw the shit. No, I make the bed. I have to, that's the first thing I see myself achieving. And then I just keep going from there, man. And it's progressive. It keeps going, and I try to impact and be a part and help other people. Sometimes it's not that way. I got to tell you, like, okay, I have my selfish, self-centered, self-seeking moments. Trust me. But bam, I get a wake-up call at some point in time. It's not working. And so who was talking about regrets? Listen, regrets are a waste of time, man. Okay. Listen, I understand. We all are human. We all have made a lot of horrible decisions and done things and stuff like that. Some of us probably don't ever want anybody to know about. That's another thing that'll keep you trapped as well, because you set yourself free. That's what the negative forces, the devil, or whatever you want to call it, to keep a hand on you. But there's this one promise that I really honed in on, in AA and NA, and that is not regretting the past, but not closing the door on it. So there's certain times in my life where I go to and remember certain things and what happened to get me out of my funk and to get me back on track. Not that I wish I could go back and change it. And I think Peter asked me this one time, if I could go back and tell my 18-year-old self something or offer some advice or opinion, what would that be? Well, I wouldn't, okay? Because when I was 18, you couldn't tell me a damn thing, nothing. I don't care who you are, even myself telling me, I had to learn. I believe failing is an important ingredient for my continued success. Because for me, what I've learned, and don't get me wrong here, I love comfortable things. I really enjoy comfortable things. But success is at the edge of your comfort zone, okay? If you get comfortable, you're going to miss it. You're going to miss some of the most wonderful, challenging moments of growth, spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally, if you're afraid to get out on the other side. And here's what I found. I didn't want to do that. And what I found was when I stepped outside of my comfort, there's only two types of fear. That's it. There's fear of what you know and fear of what you don't know. That's all there is. So most people, until they figure it out, and hopefully they do, they have defining moments, but they know when they make this choice or this decision that these are going to be the consequences. And sometimes they're not happy, but they know what the consequences are. Okay, that's okay. You don't know what's on the other side. So when you step out there and you put it out there, and I got to tell you this one thing. So the gentleman that helped me define all this in my life, that started me in my trajectory, he looked at me and said, Russell, are you willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do? So you can have and become the things that most people will never have and never become. What are you willing to do? How far are you willing to stretch? I'll work with you if you are, but the minute you stop, I'm not working with you anymore. And it was some serious growth pain. What I found was, when I started stepping outside of my comfort zone, way outside of my comfort zone, guess who I met? Anybody like take a guess who I met?
Yourself. You met Russell Hill.
No, I met all of you. All of you that encouraged me and introduced me and said, I love you, I trust you, I believe you. Let me introduce you to this person. Let me introduce you to that person.
Interesting.
I met you. And that's my success.
Love it. Martha,
so just
thank you so much for joining us. Would you like to tell us, everybody loves you, what you define as success?
Martha?
Oh, success is finding the mute button. Martha, you're muted.
There we
There
go.
you go.
I'm sorry.
Perfect.
You know, I always come and sit in my car, so sometimes it's very hard to unmute when you're on your cell phone. I was saying that there is something that I always tell my kids when they were little, and I will always push them right to move forward, to reach your goals, to set goals, to go after their goals. But when they were kids, and even right now that they're adults, I always told them, you know what? Rather than being someone successful in life, I want you to be a good human to other ones, you know? Because you may reach success and money and fame and everything else, and it still not be happy, and it still not be able, you know, to help other people around you. But if you become a good human where everybody can recognize that from you, what a good soul you are, what a good person you are on every single area, that's going to make me a very proud mom. And I think I preach to them all of that on the same sense, though, like, okay, you need to have goals, you need to pursue your dreams, you need to work hard for what you wanted to achieve and to get, but never get there by stepping on anybody else. Never get there by forgetting those that you have met along the way and that have been there for you. Never get there without being grateful every single morning for the place that you're at that specific moment, at that moment in your life. No matter how many challenges you have, you always have to be grateful, because there is a learning experience that has to come from that pain and that suffering and that growing. So you always keep eyes on the goal, living the present, right? And I think, to me, that's kind of like my definition of success. right? It's of course with hard work, with your pursuing your goals, you're gonna get to the places where the other people that doesn't have the discipline, it doesn't take the risk, is never going to get. But it's very important to me that along the way, I always stay present and those that are around me, and to be very kind, empathetic, and grateful to them at that moment. There's always going to be people along the way that they're going to be probably an obstacle, and you need to be able to recognize them as well, right? But also to honor and respect and love those that surround you and are supporting you through there. Because in a certain way, I feel that those are the angels that sometimes comes to you to help you out through those moments. And like Russell said it, getting out of our comfort zone is very difficult. To me, it's very hard. I'm a very fearful person. I may project a little bit different, but I'm very fearful. There was always that fear, right? When you're a single mom for such a long time and it's only you and your kids, you're going to grow sometimes that type of feeling because you don't want to risk anything. You're very afraid of risking. But, meeting, having humans like this group, for example, it helps you grow in so many areas, in so many ways, and to have a different perspective and a different take from other humans as well. So, so that's what I can say. That is my definition of success. I feel that right now I'm very successful.
Right on. Oh, deliver it,
I'm gonna
girl.
jump.
I love it.
Very good, Martha. I want to jump on
Thank
that
you.
for just a second. I'm going to go back to Russell and about comfort, stepping out of the comfort. I always believe that comfort breeds content and repels growth.
Yep.
Right.
It's an area that, so comfort breeds content and repels growth. So always recognize that. All with a combination of Martha and Russell, the attitude of gratitude. We have to have that. That is truly something that defines success. If we can actually have that attitude of gratitude. And the last thing about success is the ability not to fall for falsehoods. Don't fall for the people that are around you just to be around you, because they are the ones that are going to drive you into the rabbit hole that you do not want to go down.
Peter, I got to say something. Sorry, it's a thought came to my mind when you said that. I'm still very naive and gullible, and I want to believe in people. I want to believe in people, and I get let down all the time. And that's okay. I love them where they're at. But if my wife is around me, she'll straighten my ass out real quick. Let me tell you what.
Yeah, I've heard that on a daily basis for probably 18 months. But the question I really have this one question for Russell. If the first thing he does every day is make his bed, how does his wife get out of it? Got to wake up your wife first, don't you?
Well, yeah, we get up about somewhere it varies between 3:30 and 4:30 every morning. That's our time together. And to make this real short, it's not that, I don't just get out of bed and say, make the bed. But we have our little ritual, and by 4:30, 5:10 at the latest, she goes in to do her shower, and then I come back and make the bed.
And that is, what was the admiral that wrote the book?
McRaven.
And it was about making, the first thing you do in life is make your bed, and it sets your day.
It does, because there are mornings that I didn't do it because, with kids and all that stuff. And I'll come back to do it later on in the day, and it's just like my whole morning thrown off.
But even when you go back, okay, you did it. A sigh of relief. At least you did it. You went back.
Yes.
You went back.
I went back. I never not make my bed. Just when it happens. But it has to happen before I leave the house. It has to. And the pillows on the couch have to be in place, and there has to be no it's a problem.
I love it.
Well, I have to say that the various forms of success in all of our minds all really, there wasn't a single person on here that defined success by materialistic or monetarily funds. It was all about how we've lived our lives and how we've affected others. And that is the true definition of when we all go on to a better place in life. What is remaining past what we've done and how people will remember us.
That's right.
And that's
Legacy.
ultimate. The legacy we live or leave is truly what we live in our lives. And how do we define it? We've all gone through our trials and tribulations in our lives. Russell, your life has been a challenge from a long time ago, and 29 years ago, if I remember correctly, you made that change. I made that change. I went through a massive car accident, and my life was changed for 10 years. Well, it's changed for life, but 10 years of my life, I lived your life, Russell. And then I had the epiphany and going, what am I doing?
Mhm.
And so we is that a success? Yes, that is one's life's little successes. That these are little microbursts that allow us to change and define ourselves of who we are.
That's right.
My greatest success is actually a tragedy, and that was my father passing. That's my greatest success, because in the loss of my father and that figure in my life, even though we had a horrific relationship, we never were father and son. We were combatants throughout most of my life. And in that changed moment, it changed the definition of who I was. So I look at that as that tragedy to be my greatest success. Not my cars, not my houses, not my clothes, not my anything, my marriages, nothing. I look at that one defining moment as one of my greatest successes. So it's truly we find out what drives us and what really is the moment that is going to allow us to see the light. And the light is this epiphany of we don't need to have a $10,000 watch. We don't need to drive a Rolls Royce or this or that. Hey, you know what? That'd be great if we could all afford that, and that was just part of life. And we could give to charities, and we could look after others, and we could do everything that we really want to do in life. That would be great. But the real challenge to life is how we can affect others. And that is a true definition of life and success. So with
Amen.
that,
What a way to
Well
wrap
said.
it up, Peter. That was awesome.
Are you reading my sign behind me, Peter?
no,
Peter,
I
did we-
actually don't have my glasses on, so I can barely see anybody.
What is that?
Yeah, so hold on. It's right behind me. It says the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is.
That's
That's
right.
it. Like a Jim Carrey quote, but it's
Boom.
just, yep.
Well,
Love
Jim,
it.
is that Jim Carrey,
Yeah.
comedian? He
Uh-huh.
grew up about 5 miles away from me.
That's crazy.
So
What is,
just
yeah.
yeah, just this very, very small world, another great Canadian. So
Love
there
it.
you go. Anyways, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. It was a real pleasure to hear all of your thoughts and your inputs. We look forward to it every single week, and it's always a pleasure. Now remember, tomorrow night we have Michael Barich and Joshua Taylor doing a master class for Brooklyn Morse from the Scott Auto Group on how to run a service, the service side of the business. And she is a master technician that has made the switch to a service manager. So it should be a great night, lots to learn, and I can't wait for it. So on that,
Look forward to
thank
it.
you. And
Look
we'll talk to you
forward to
all tomorrow. All right. Take care.
Night, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Bye.
Thanks
Well,
for
good night,
joining us.
guys. Hey,